Yo, I'm Buha, Lakers beat writer for The Athletic, and welcome to another postgame reaction show. The Lakers fell to the Denver Nuggets 124 to 114. Their eighth straight loss to the Nuggets dating back to last season. And it feels like we've seen this movie before because we have basically 8 straight times. The Lakers and the Nuggets play a close game for the first 3.5 quarters. In some cases, the Lakers are up big. In some cases, Denver's up big, and the Lakers rally. In this case, Lakers were actually in control of this game most of the first 2.5 to 3 quarters before Denver took the lead late in the third. And then LA was right there and had their opportunity to win the game. They led with around 4 minutes remaining, and then Denver's offense just takes over. And again, we've seen this script so many times at this point. It's become a little boring where regardless of the context of the game and who's playing well and who's not and who's out there, and Denver was missing KCP. The Lakers, of course, continue to be without Jared Vanderbilt and Gabe Vincent and Christian Wood. But even with the players changing to varying degrees, like the Nuggets just out execute the Lakers consistently in crunch time. And it was the story of the Western Conference Finals. It's been the story in the 3 matchups this season. And it's just how these matchups go. And the Lakers really, all of a sudden, it gets to that 6-minute mark, 5-minute mark of the fourth quarter, and the Lakers get tight. And they start making mistakes defensively that they weren't making earlier in the game. And it's kind of the same stuff. Like MPJ hits big threes, and Aaron Gordon gets alley-oops and offensive rebounds, though he did hit a turnaround 3 in this game. Jokic is just picking them apart, but then also drawing mismatches and scoring in the paint over smaller guys or hitting ridiculous shots. Jamal Murray is killing the Lakers in the pick and roll. The Murray Jokic 2-man game is just basically unstoppable at this point, at least against the Lakers. And Murray can hit really tough shots, but can also kind of leverage that into getting layups at the rim and breaking down the Lakers defense that way. So and then amid all this was LeBron James reaching 40,000 career points, which is just wild to think about. I think Kareem's number, which was 38,387, I want to say 87 or 89. I think it was 87. But the fact that I don't even know that, like that to me shows kind of the issue with Kareem's record was that people didn't really know what the number was. You knew it was some 38,000 something or 38,300 something, but it wasn't a nice whole number. And there's just something about 40,000 points that it's easily digestible. We like big whole numbers as humans, and the fact that LeBron passed 40,000, I think it's gonna end up being a record that we remember more so than the 38,000. And with the way that he's playing and the way that he's been able to be consistent and durable and just take care of himself, like he could easily cross 45,000 points. Could he get to 50? It seems unreasonable, but it's also LeBron, and who knows how much longer he's going to play. But if he plays to like 43 or 44, I think he's going to cross 45. And at that point, again, like 2,000 points a season isn't that ridiculous for him with the way that he's been able to. It really just comes down to health and how he ages. But like, again, up to this point, even with him slowing down physically somewhat, he's still an elite athlete. He's still in the top 1% of NBA athletes. And then on top of that, he's having a career 3-point shooting season. So he continues to evolve as a player, make tweaks to his game, and continues to be a walking 25, 7, and 7. So I think 45, it seems like is almost a lock, unless he just retires before then and doesn't want to play much longer than like another season or two. But if he plays like 3 years, I mean, it's possible, right? Like I think he's likely going to pass 45. It's just a matter of how much higher it goes from there. But another night where LeBron breaks the record and the Lakers lose. Anthony Davis joked about that after the game. We're going back to LeBron passing Kareem for the scoring record. They lost that night to OKC, and that was when OKC was on the rise, but definitely not what they are now. And at the time, that was viewed as a bad loss for the Lakers, even with it coming right before the trade deadline. Russ was still on the team, but that was a game that they probably should have won. So another LeBron milestone in a loss. But let's get into our three things from this game. So takeaway number one for me is the Lakers' crunch time defense, and specifically their crunch time defense in this matchup. And I don't know what the answer is, because we've seen it both ways, where they try and close with an offensive lineup and Denver picks them apart and will target Austin or D'Lo or even Rui or LeBron. Even AD, right? Like Jokic has scored on him plenty of times, and like AD, there's a reason why the Lakers ultimately go away from AD defending Jokic, because it really doesn't matter who that initial guy is. Like LeBron and Rui have those stronger bases and have been able to body him at times. AD has the length, the athleticism, the defensive savvy, the IQ, but one of the best defenders in the world, if not the best. But still, like Jokic is so great offensively that great offense will beat great defense 9 out of 10 times. And it seems like in the Nuggets Lakers case, 10 out of 10 times. So I don't have an answer. Like I think if there was a clear answer, the Lakers would hopefully figure that out, or someone within the team or the coaching staff or whatever would figure that out. The one thing I think, so I mentioned the offense, and I think Lakers have tried the defensive approach as well, but as they saw tonight, like playing Cam Reddish, like one, he just didn't really bother Jamal Murray, and then two, you're now playing 4-on-5 offensively. Same thing can be said for Jared Vanderbilt, although the Lakers have, one, Vando's a better defender than Cam. He's bigger. He's a better defensive rebounder. I think he's a guy who can match up a bit better with Aaron Gordon and Michael Porter Jr., but similar concerns offensively with playing 4-on-5. So I don't know what the answer is. Like one thing I've thought about in rewatching. So I went back and rewatched the final 6 minutes of this game just to kind of see if there's any takeaways. Like some of it was just difficult shot making. Like Aaron Gordon hits a contested three in the corner, a turnaround three over Anthony Davis. And it's just like, if Aaron Gordon is making that shot, there's only so much you can do. Jamal slithers to the rim and gets a contested layup. Jokic, of course, is doing his thing, and he got some deep post position a couple times against the guards. But for the most part, and then you got the Aaron Gordon and one dunk, and Justin Holiday making the three to tie the game. And there are just these possessions where some of it, there were certainly some breakdowns, like that Aaron Gordon dunk. LeBron was a little bit late on the help. Rui was also a little bit late on the initial help on Murray, on Jokic. I think Austin was switched on to Jokic on that possession. Rui comes over to contest. Jokic throws the lob to Gordon, and LeBron is late. He fouls him. Then they have a discussion about that. And at that point, the game was basically over. That was just the icing on the cake. But, another instance, the instance in which Holiday hits the three, Austin rotates over because AD is helping on Jokic. And, Aaron Gordon is now, he's in the dunker spot. He's crashing along the baseline. Austin, steps over to basically check him and honestly fouled him. They're not going to call that at that point in the game, but hits him out of bounds. But then Justin Holiday is wide open for a three, and Jokic finds him, and he drains that three to tie the game with about 4-ish minutes left, or however much. Don't remember exactly, but it was around the 4-minute mark. And this is something that Anthony Davis talked about after the game, but the Lakers make so many defensive errors against Denver in crunch time. And part of that is Denver has 5 guys who can score, and they have 5 guys who can shoot, so they can stretch you out. And there's no great option to help off of. In this case, even Holiday, in theory, would probably be the guy you'd want to help off of. Gordon, you could live with him shooting, although, again, he did make a 3 late. But with their normal lineup, when KCP's in there, like there's just no great option to help. Like you definitely don't want to help off Michael Porter Jr. He went 10 for 10, hit 5 threes, had 25 points. So they just put you in such a bind defensively. And then offensively, they can really lock in. And I thought the Lakers they just ran some vanilla stuff down the stretch. And I'll get a bit into the coaching with one of my other takeaways. But like I think they were spamming the LeBron, Austin pick and roll, and that was pretty effective. But they eventually went away from it because it was pretty, like, it's not the same as the Jokic-Murray pick and roll. And then they started doing some LeBron AD. Then Rui took didn't love that jumper, but he took kind of a contested mid-range pull up, and Austin missed a tough shot. AD got blocked by Jokic. LeBron got stripped on a drive. So Cam had an opportunity off an offensive rebound to reset the offense. He throws it off Jokic's foot. It was a ill-advised. Lakers got the ball back, but like just kind of one of those opportunities where ideally, like, you strike when you get an offensive rebound. A team is scrambling. They're trying to find their man. They're trying to recover defensively, and that's when you strike with a three, or you rotate the ball, and then a guy closes out. You attack the closeout, whatever. So that was kind of a missed opportunity there. So just a lot of missed opportunities, and in a game that was so close, like every possession matters, and it feels like every single time the 5 to 8 possessions go in Denver's way, and part of it's on the Lakers, part of it's on Denver. Part of it was the personnel. Like I didn't love the closing with Cam Reddish, though at the same time, like D'Angelo Russell had a really strong start to the game. He started he had 13 points early, hit a couple threes, started 5 for 7, but from that point, finished the game. Went 1 for 6 from that point. Only scored 4 more points, and Denver started to pick on him defensively, and it started to look more like the D'Lo from the Western Conference Finals and the D'Lo from opening night against Denver. And basically, I think from the Lakers' perspective, it was a bit unplayable. But the alternative was Cam Reddish, and it wasn't like he was great either. And again, now you're playing 4-on-5 offensively when the Lakers at their best, I think, played solid defense, although Denver kept scoring, and this was one of those games where both teams are just shooting over 50% for most of the game, which has kind of become the Lakers' identity recently. Has been their defense has been terrible, but the Lakers are scoring so much, and D'Lo was part of that. And I think you could make the case, like, even with some of the defensive concerns, you still want that guy, even if he's just a catch and shoot threat, out there, and it's someone that Denver can't just cheat off of. But I think one potential solution, and I don't know who the fifth guy in the lineup is. Like, I think you have to close with LeBron, AD, Rui, and Austin. Austin, 19 points, career high 14 assists. Rui had 23, and I thought defended Jokic about as well as you could one-on-one. Jokic just is bigger than him, arguably the best offensive player in the world, scored over him. Like, it just is what it is. But you close with those 4. But to me, I think you got to put LeBron on Jamal Murray, and you got to put AD on Jokic. And you just switch the Jokic-Murray 2-man game. And that's it. And you put the 2 guys that you're confident can defend either player. And it's not like a great defensive matchup for either guy, but there really is no great defensive answer for the Jokic-Murray 2-man game. But we've seen LeBron lock in against KD, against Kawhi. I know Murray's a different type of player. He's a point guard. It's going to be very taxing for him to do that. But if you're asking him to do it for 4 to 6 minutes, I think it's reasonable. And then AD, I think, has to guard Jokic just because you're more like, first off, I mean, I think that's just probably the Lakers' best crunch time option, better than Rui. But I think you're more comfortable switching LeBron and AD in that scenario, because one of the issues they ran into was, with Cam on Murray for the most part, and then Rui on Jokic, you're not switching that because you don't want Rui on Jamal Murray and you don't want Cam on Nikola Jokic. And if there were situations in which they switched, then the Lakers were over helping and over scrambling and rotating, and then that's how those mistakes happen, where Gordon gets an offensive rebound, or there's a cut, or Porter Jr. Someone leaves him in the corner and he gets a basket. So I think for the Lakers, you got to put LeBron on Murray and you got to put AD on Jokic, and you just switch it. And you're going to get burned, right? Like Murray's going to hit tough shots over both guys. Jokic, I mean, he hits at least one moon ball against the Lakers in each matchup, and it just, there's nothing you could do about it. But to me, like that's the best option where like we've seen LeBron defend Jokic well. He did it at times in the Western Conference Finals. I thought he did it at times opening night. Even in the last matchup, like he can defend him well when he's really engaged and locked in, about as well as any Laker can. And then with AD, at least if you're putting him on Murray for, again, you don't want to switch it, but if it's a situation where you have to switch it, you at least have two guys who you're fairly confident that have the foot speed, have the length to at least semi-bother those guys. Again, I'm not saying like, the Lakers have tried switching it before, and I don't, to my recollection, have never put LeBron on Murray. I could be wrong on that, but to my recollection, again, I don't think they've, it was often, Dennis and then Austin and Vando, and like they've tried different things with that. But I think that's, to me, like an interesting way of just being able to switch with LeBron and AD and just saying like, if Murray wants to hit a contested jumper over AD's outstretched arms, like we're going to live with it because that's the best you can do. So I don't know who the fifth guy is though. And that's kind of a tricky thing. Cause like in theory you have like Rui battling Aaron Gordon, for rebounding and cuts and stuff. Then you got to I'd prefer to put Austin on KCP and just say like, if he's going to cut or spot up, like you're sticking with him. But they don't have a great answer for MPJ. And then MPJ's been, there's a lot of attention on Jokic and Murray, but MPJ to me has been the guy who's really killed the Lakers. Like he just gets hot, like he just shoots over guys. Lakers always have a smaller guy on him, and he can just, and they put LeBron on him, and LeBron wasn't as engaged. LeBron was helping. I mean, LeBron likes to help and roam, and MPJ got open. But even so, MPJ's a legit 6'10". Like he can just rise up over LeBron and shoot over him. So, he's athletic, he's springy. So, I mean, that's a spot where like maybe if Vando comes back, you put Vando on MPJ and you put Austin on KCP and you close big, right? And your ball handlers are Austin and LeBron. Vando, you're gonna have to figure out creative ways to not get Denver to play off him, but as we saw, putting him at the elbow, putting him as a screener, DHO guy, like there are some ways the Lakers can try that, and then Rui and AD being the other guys. But you are going big, you are going unconventional, but I think that's the one way to have a shot. And again, I'm not saying it's gonna work. I think Denver has the Lakers number. I think they have a mental edge over them. I think if this was another 7-game series, Denver probably wins in 4, if not maybe 5 games. I just think it is what it is. Like they out execute the Lakers, but I think the Lakers have to mix things up, and I don't think Cam was the answer. I don't necessarily think D'Lo was the answer either. Again, with like the way he played over the final 2.5 quarters, I really think like midway through the second quarter, you saw a shift with D'Lo, with his body language, with his aggression. He started pressing a bit, and then it kind of snowballs with him. Once he starts to struggle, it kind of compounds into this bigger thing. So from my perspective, of course, like I would have rather closed with D'Lo over Cam. Ideally, like you have Vando for this matchup. I would have loved to have seen a look from Max. Torian was, I tweeted about it. Like Torian came in, he finished got the box score here. He finished 1 for 6 and just was like took a off the dribble pull up, which I just didn't understand. Like he took 4 shots within like his first like 2 minutes of being in the game, which just was too much Torian. And to give Darvin credit, he only played 12 minutes tonight, but I think the Lakers are still looking for that 5th guy for the Denver matchup. Maybe it's D'Lo. Again, given the current options, that probably was the best option. I personally didn't love it just with the way that he was starting to play. Like I thought he had a pretty bad third quarter, but again, compared to Cam, definitely compared to Torian, like Spencer didn't have a good game, so I don't see, closing with him. And then you didn't play Max Christie. So like, in theory, I'd like the idea of Max as a point of attack guy, or he's guarding the Justin Holiday or MPJ, and you just say like, stick with, in MPJ's case, stick with this guy and don't let him get open. And then offensively, he's at least a credible spot up threat. But it's easier said than done. I don't have an answer, obviously. I'm just spitballing like what I've seen. And one way I think it's worth trying is LeBron and AD and just switching it and living with that. Takeaway 2 is I was really impressed with Rui and Austin in this game. I look at those two guys as guys I trust in big situations dating back to last postseason. I thought Austin was fairly consistent. He did lose his legs a bit from the end of that Memphis series into the Golden State series, but I thought no matter what, he was still trying defensively. To me, he's always a high IQ player who, even if he's not, he's having an off shooting night, he's maybe, not at his peak defensively. I still think he's going to find ways with his passing, with his shooting, with his energy, with his IQ, just to impact the game in a positive way. There are very few games where I leave thinking Austin just had a terrible game or didn't impact the game positively in some way. I thought Rui, again, he was really aggressive offensively. I think he was attacking Denver and keeping them on their heels, and they clearly were fine to some extent with him shooting a lot because it wasn't LeBron or AD or D'Lo or Austin. But I thought he really took it to Denver, and again, defensively did about as well as you can against Jokic, especially given some of Rui's limitations in terms of not being the biggest guy, not being the longest, not being the most athletic or the quickest, but being strong and sturdy and just being a solid post positional defender. So those guys to me just reaffirm that I think the Lakers have a core four in terms of just like four guys that are almost matchup proof. I know that Rui got played off the floor, in the Golden State series a bit, but that Memphis series and the Denver series, he was great. And I just think, whereas a guy like, to me, D'Lo's still a bit matchup dependent. Like I still don't think this Denver matchup is a great one for him. But there might be other matchups like maybe a Minnesota or an OKC where I think it's a much better matchup for him. It really kind of depends. But I look at that top four of LeBron, AD, Austin, and Rui. And again, not that they're the top four players, because I still think in a vacuum, D'Lo's better than Rui. But like those four guys to me showed me something. We already know about LeBron and AD, so they didn't show me anything I didn't already know. But like Austin, I thought stepped up in the in-season tournament as that progressed, and like had a huge game in Boston with that road win with no LeBron, no AD. And I just think in really key moments this season, has even the Clippers game, that a lot of that credit goes to, of course, LeBron, but then, D'Lo hits the big three. Rui has the three in the layup. But like Austin, I thought his defense on Harden, on Norm Powell, he had 8 rebounds that game. Like he was helping AD right after the Lakers were talking about having, bad guard rebounding against Phoenix. Austin comes in and he helps swing the game. So that to me was like important to see. So I think those two guys are just, they're just gamers. Like they're competitive. I think they both have stepped up at various points in big moments. And like, I think the Lakers are starting to form like, those are kind of the 4 closers. And then they're still looking for that fifth guy spot can rotate depending on, is D'Lo having a great game or is it a great matchup for him? Is Vando back? Does Max ever step into that role? Do they go bigger with a Christian or a Jackson, depending again on the matchup? So like, there's still a lot of, uncertainty with some of the lineup stuff, but I think the Lakers have, to me, this was an important game for Austin and for Rui. Like I felt like they both stepped up in ways that, again, just gives me a level of confidence and trust in them. And finally, number 3, I'm gonna hit on the rotation because I don't know, so positive. I thought Taurean Prince playing 12 minutes was a positive. Jackson Hayes at 9. I mean, he basically mirrored Zeke Naji. Cam at 19 was a little much. He was a bench worst -8. Spencer Dinwiddie at 20 minutes, also probably a little much. Like, I would have loved to have seen Max in this game. I don't know. Like, he played last game in part because Cam was dealing with some soreness, and it was a back-to-back, and I get that, but I don't know. He didn't play opening night against Denver either, and I just think I'd like to see it. And as far as like the starters, like those guys all played heavy minutes. Everyone played over 31 minutes, so like I'm not gonna nitpick that, but I thought there was a couple of, again, like Cam closing with the way that Denver was ignoring him, loading up the paint, with his inability to really bother Murray. I thought he had some moments in the first half where he was effective defensively, but that kind of went away in the fourth quarter. Not closing with D'Lo, although I don't think it was a perfect option. I think the rotation continues to be an issue, and it's something that I think a sidebar to all this was Anthony Davis only taking 2 shots in the fourth quarter. I think part of that's on him. I think part of that is on the guards, particularly Austin and LeBron as the ball handlers, putting him in position to score. Again, part of it's AD, his aggression, his assertiveness. I think there was a couple of possessions where he could have looked to try and take Jokic off the dribble or just shoot over him and didn't. And part of it's on Darvin Ham for not running the offense through AD more, where I think when the Lakers are at their best in this Denver matchup, like going back to parts of game 1 and like AD, I think they need a certain level of offense from AD, and him only having 17 points. Let's see, he was 7 for 13 from the floor, and that was tied for third most shot attempts on the team. Like, AD should never be anything but second on this team in terms of field goals, like shot attempts. Like that's just ridiculous. And again, I think the blame pie can go in several directions. Maybe AD deserves the most of it, just because of who he is, and he should be demanding the ball, and once he gets it, just attacking Jokic, going quickly. But I don't think it's all on him, because I think part of it is the way the Lakers were running their offense in crunch time, and part of that again is on the ball handlers, and part of that's on Darvin Ham. But I think the rotation continues to be a bit of an issue. Like the Lakers bench has been getting killed. There's been several games now in a row where the bench isn't doing much offensively. They're certainly not doing much defensively. Other than Cam, it's basically all average to below average defenders. And then they're losing. I mean, they're having negative plus minuses in several games now. So like the bench has really struggled coming out of the All-Star break, and I think there's Spencer's still figuring it out. I'm giving him some leeway just because it's a new situation, and we're starting to get to the point where I'm going to stop giving him leeway soon. But like again, new situation, new offense, like all this stuff. Like I think it's going to take. I want to give him at least like another week, but Torian has basically been basically unplayable since the All-Star break. Cam, we know what he brings defensively, but offensively continues to be a big minus. And Jackson, like, this just isn't a great matchup for him. I think this is more of a Christian matchup. While I think that the team is trending in the right direction, the rotation is trending in the right direction, there were still some mistakes tonight. I thought there was a point where they probably could have called a timeout a little bit earlier to stop the bleeding with Denver. Maybe that's when you go back to D'Lo if Cam just isn't working on Jamal. So I don't know. There's a lot to unpack with this one. It feels like we've seen it before again, but it. I don't know. This is the one. I mean, this is the matchup the Lakers haven't been able to solve, right? Like they finally figured out the Clippers. They won that season series 3-1. They beat OKC a couple times. They haven't beat Minnesota, but they've had a couple close games. We'll see if they can beat them next week. They've dominated Phoenix, although Phoenix has got them back a couple times recently. Like they beat Dallas. I want to say once. I think. Haven't beaten Sacramento. But they got 2 big games against them. Have obviously beaten Golden State. They've crushed New Orleans a couple times. So really the team in the West that the Lakers have not been able to solve is Denver. And while it felt like they got a bit closer at times during this game, it also felt like they're further than ever just because they continue to lose in the same fashion and make the same mistakes on both ends of the floor. So that will do it for today's show. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And in case you missed it, I announced it on my live stream and when tweeting out the stream. I have a new podcast coming out, Buha's Block. It is starting on Monday. I have a special guest, a Lakers player, an interview. We go for about 40 minutes, so be on the lookout for that. Hope you enjoy it. Hope you subscribe. It will be on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, etc. But yeah, this was a fun dialogue, but it feels a little too eerie, like having to continue to make these points and talk about the same stuff. Like, I'd love to see just a different game, even if, in either direction, whatever it is. Like, I feel like I keep watching the same game on a loop. But thank you guys again for watching. I will be back tomorrow with my vlog off this game. I will talk to you soon.